a point where a signal is issued, the AI identifies that the price is going to go up or down. And the way the system works, it reduces one thing that it intends for the user is to reduce the stress around the volatility of the market, around the uncertainty. It helps them to make a little bit of a smarter trading, making decision. And we're trying to see how can we lower the emotion with it.
Hi everyone, welcome to iBlock TV and today's discussion, which is very clear. It's about signals, trading signals. I personally never used trading signals before. I use more like traditional analysis, like technical analysis or fundamental analysis or on-chain analysis, or even narratives, but never used signals before. There are like more and more services coming up recently, offering like trading signals, and like what I would like to learn today is who should use trading signals, how often, in what kind of trades, are there any guarantees for trading signals? And yeah, there's going to be a lot to discuss, and my guest today is Mr. Thierry Hubert, who is the CTO of the service CryptoHawk.ai. Hi Thierry, how are you?
Hi, thank you. Very well, very well.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me on your podcast or vodcast or video interview. Thanks, appreciate it.
Cool. I'm really happy to have you because these are, I really never used this kind of service before. And I would like to know whether I can use, signals or trading signals in everyday trading or investing, and in what kind of trades. How do you gather the data? And what is the outcome, and what signals do you provide, and who can guarantee for anything? So maybe, but just before we start with everything, can you just briefly tell about your background and your experience?
Yes, sure. So my background, I will highlight it in a very simple way. I'm a former IBM Director of Research and Development for EMEA, and worked heavily in knowledge management, the intersection of collaborative technology and how to make sense out of tacit information, out of knowledge, how to make it explicit. So you can imagine that with that kind of background, when big data started to really become a phenomenon, we were looking at how do you take something that is chaotic and unorganized, and how do you make sense of it? And the tools at the time were around classifications, things of the sort, were not quite enough. So I applied some chaos theory principles. And then with artificial intelligence, we started to look at, can we identify patterns in chaotic information, right? So we won the TechCrunch Award in 2012 for Big Data Startup of the Year, where we took information from Twitter that was disorganized or unstructured, and we were able to show the pattern, the evolution of the context of the themes over time to accelerate consumption. So my background is around sociology, computer science, and as an IBMer in research and development in the space of knowledge management and artificial intelligence, I've basically evolved towards the position I have in today with Digimax, who creates CryptoHawk.ai, in bringing this diversified knowledge of a variety of information of different types. And how do you bring this information together? How do you use artificial intelligence to gain insight? And perhaps what's important over here is to understand when you mention signals, right? And then maybe I'll segue into your next question, possibly. Maybe I'll just let you ask it. But when you mention signals, so I just want to pick up on that, because signals are everywhere. And the signals we generate are generated through artificial intelligence means. Not only technical data, as you referenced early on, or observing or narratives, but it's artificial intelligence. And I think this is where the distinction occurs. And this is where a lot of people are not used, because AI, right, is fairly new in this field, and the volume of data and the diversity of data, the veracity of data, has been so overwhelming that it has been difficult for people to grasp how we can use all those data to actually provide signals.
what was very interesting that you mentioned Twitter. I just read the Schwager, one of the recent books, maybe even the recent, and there was the guy who said that he doesn't use any technical or fundamental analysis for his investments, but only social trading or social investment. Yeah. I think he's calling social investing, and he mentioned Twitter. So he's basically, and also just what's happening in the people, like habits, everyday habits. So basically no fundamental, no technical analysis, just social thing, analyzing social data and putting the money where he sees like these social trends. So yeah.
Yes, I've seen that. And this has been a trend, and we've been working in these areas, especially, given the work we've done on Twitter. This has been kind of like the holy grail. It's some people have been looking at Twitter, but Twitter changes in intent and use. So your signal, the way you analyze Twitter 10 years ago, where everybody was racing to be popular, to have a lot of followers, is a different paradigm than how people use Twitter today. The type of content has changed, is shifting. So if you depend on Twitter, which creates a fire hole, so large access, you're going to get an indicator, but that's one dimension. And it's the aggregation of multiple dimension, or the coincidence and the correlation of multiple dimension, that gives you a good signal. So it's one thing to say, yes, when somebody famous talks about a movement, that people are observing it and they go towards it. But remember one thing about Twitter. It is very rare that something happens on Twitter. Twitter magnifies something that already happens. And that's where people express themselves. So it's a push mechanism. I don't think there's much of a consumption other than people who use it for analytics.
Yeah, maybe we'll come to this a little bit later. There is a lot to unpack here. And yes. I don't know whether it's better to start in the beginning, how you analyze the data, and what tools do you use, or what hardware, or what kind of data, or it's better to start at the end. What's the end result? The end result of what you do are signals. And maybe we can just start here and explain what are the signals, how these signals look like, what they tell you, how you can use it, who can use it, and then maybe we can come back and you will explain how you come to these signals.
Oh, totally. Okay, so let's go from the signal perspective.
Yeah, from
right?
the signal.
So the signal is a price trend indicator, right? So it tells you pretty much if for the future, from a point where a signal is issued, the AI identified that the price is going to go up or down. And the way the system works, it reduces one thing that it intends for the user is to reduce the stress around the volatility of the market, around the uncertainty, right? Helps them to make a little bit of a smarter trading, making decision. And we're trying to see how can we lower the emotion with it. So when we use the AI to produce the signal gives you a certain degree of confidence. And for our users, when they look at our chart, they see from the point of the signal how our prediction perform in terms of a gain. And that's really important, because if you have a buy signal, you can see on our chart that we relatively show you the percentage of gain from that point if you acted on it. And likewise, if we go in the wrong direction, you see in basically in red vertical line, the loss that we have against a prediction, whether it's an up or down prediction, right? And that's really helpful, because what it shows you, it allows you as a user to see the back testing. So you can see all the decisions that we've published, all the signals that we've published from the past, how well they've performed. And when the next signal comes in, so we have an entry point, which is a signal, buy or sell, and an exit point, which is the next signals that occur. So we call those cards. And when you look at the card, you see how well the prediction performed from one end to the other end. So that's one element, which is really interesting, because it gives you an historical confidence as to the performance of the signal, which for the greater part is when we are right, we're right by a higher gain than when we're wrong, which is awesome. So that in itself says, I receive a text or an email say, oh, Bitcoin. So we do Bitcoin and Ethereum. Right? So Bitcoin and Ethereum, right now we're about to introduce a new type of signal also for some of the other that have less history, and then we'll go to your question about how do we compute all of this and what do we need. But the point is this: I'm looking at the signal and I'm looking at the history. I have confidence that if I act on that signal, I'm going to have some significant gain. And if there is a loss, it's not going to be that dramatic. I can recover it. So if you look at our back testing and how well we've performed over time, and the number doesn't come to mind right away, but I think that on our website on CryptoHawk.ai, you can see the results. We're doing phenomenally well against beating the market, right? So our predictions do well. So if you were to have somebody who was thinking, well, do I invest in crypto, or do I need to watch the screen and the volatility going up and down all the time, or do I follow the signals, and perhaps when a signal comes in, I pay more attention because there's a threshold that I want to accomplish that I'm comfortable with to buy or to sell? Then the system is really good for you, because you don't have to be, and to your other question, you don't have to be an expert trader. You don't have to, and you, as an expert trader, you can use the signal and complement it with all of your technical analysis, which helps a great deal. You can correlate it if you want. But as somebody who's interested in investing in crypto, it gives you a sense of security and reduces the stress and doesn't make you fanatical about following the chart all the time. It's
Okay.
a really, really interesting approach.
Thierry, can I just stop you here for a while?
Of course.
So basically what we unpacked here, it gives you a signal buy, so the entry point, which can be or buy or sell, and the exit point, which can also be buy or sell. And
Correct.
for who you say it can be anybody? Anybody without experience of trading or investing. You mentioned investing. I would maybe clarify here that if you're an investor, you're probably just more like kind of buy and hold investor. So maybe
Correct.
this service is more for the people who would like to be more active in managing their portfolio. So exiting and entering and exiting, right?
Yeah, you could both. Actually, what we've observed is we have both type of users, right? Some people are looking at it, okay, so the signal says to sell, and they're holding, or if they can short, they try to short. But there is a lot of very interesting use cases around this, because we're bringing one more point of data that aggregates so much information in terms of the AI that learns the pattern, that we're able on a monthly basis, the AI gets refreshed to gradually get better. And this is why a lot of information is needed to create the model. So if you're familiar with artificial intelligence model or not, it doesn't matter. Think about artificial intelligence being capable of detecting patterns, recurring patterns, and correlations.
Now I would like to be here at the end more. And the next question is, how often according to your experience now of CryptoHawk, how often are these signals, for example, what is the frequency of the signals? Is there like daily signals or weekly signals or monthly signals, or have different for different target group? The people who would like to be more active, you have like daily signals, and for more passive investors or traders, you have like more, let's say, less frequent signals. Or
the signal is the same.
It's the same.
The signal is the same signal for all community. What we do have for the advanced user are thresholds.
Okay, and how frequent are these signals?
Okay, so the frequency of the signal could be 3 signals a week, is what we've seen, depending on the cryptocurrency. Roughly 3 signals a week. We've had weeks where no signal occurred, and weeks where we had 5 signals or 6 signals.
And with these 3 signals, you mean one signal is entry and exit, or it's like all of them? Entry, exit.
Yeah. So no, it's about it's one an entry and one an exit. So I'm giving you an average. It's about 3. So sometimes, usually, if I had 3 signals in a week, you would have an historical card with an entry and an exit, and you would have an active signal waiting to be closed with the next signal, right? So one that's active, that's basically hasn't been closed yet, because the prediction remains the same until something changes, until we go the opposite.
Excellent. You mentioned for cryptocurrencies. So which cryptocurrencies are you covering currently with your signals?
Only Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Okay, only Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Right now.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah. And in what form are these signals coming to the end users? For example, I sign up. Yeah.
Oh, so they come out in two simple ways. Email, you receive an email telling you the signal, what was the price at the time of the signal, the time and the price of the signal, telling you whether it's going up or down. Then you have the option to ask for a message, an SMS. So you receive it on your phone, and you have a link that comes with your SMS, opening basically the website on your phone. Oh my gosh, the term is escaping me. Not resilient. I was going to say responsive. It's a responsive app. So then you go directly to the prediction on your phone, and then from there you could decide to act on it or further investigate the result.
And when you receive the signal, it's very simple message, just buy or sell. There is no kind of explanation. Our AI powered engine figure out that
No.
because of analyzing the data, we see that, I don't know, the whatever that the sentiment is changed, or the macro is changed, or whatever is changed, or the on-chain analysis is changed. It's just the signal. It comes out, buy, sell. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to give you the most recent signal because if I do that, our users who are paying for the service will not be happy. But if I give you the previous signal text message, I'll read it out of my screen so you see
blink
it. It
once
says,
for buy and blink two for sell.
That's right. So the last signal was yesterday at 10 p.m. Eastern time, right? For the Central time for the US.
For the US,
so
yeah.
it says CryptoHawk alert. The BTC USD prediction is now up. Prediction open price was 34,277.83 USD as of July 7th, 2021 at 3 a.m. UTC. Okay, that's all you, and then you get a link.
And now at the time of recording is 34.7.8, so it's up, obviously, let's say in half a day, right?
Correct.
And that's the signal. So basically, if you want to follow the signals, you just bought at that time and you wait for the next signal, right?
Correct. So you have that signal, and in this case, it's up. So you say, okay, I'm going to buy, right? So you do your action if that's what you decide, and then you wait until the sell signal. Now, understand that there can be slippage. You may not sell at the best time possible, right? But this is the advanced options for advanced program. You can go in and you can set a threshold alert, a primary and a secondary threshold alert on the game. So let's say you're very comfortable. You say, I'm buying, and if there's a gain of 7% from the prediction, I want to pay attention to that. So you're not looking at your screen, but you got another text alert saying your threshold alert for 7% has been reached on Bitcoin.
Okay.
So you go in the system and you say, okay, let me look at the market. Let me look at the chart. And you might say, you know what, I'm comfortable right now. I'm going to hold, I'm going to sell, right? I'm going to sell on this one. Or you can have the secondary alert, which says, okay, so now that you've got your comfort 7%, now you get your bonus at 10%. If you're bold to try to reach you to 10%, it goes to 10%. And then you can act. So the advantage here is what we've done is we say, sure, you can follow the buy and sell signals, automatically, get a decent return. We beat the market on that. It's really nice. Be mindful of the fees of your trade exchange, right? Obviously. But you could say, you know what, I'm going to be a little bit more playing on a comfort percentage where I'm going to be happy acting on 7 or 10% gain if it reaches. Otherwise, I do the signal. But if it reaches, I'll be comfortable because I might look at this as the apex of the volatility right now. I'm not expecting like what we've seen, a huge volatility. I mean, a huge swing, right? I'm going to play it. It goes up. Okay, I'm happy at 7%. Maybe it might go up 2 or 3% more. I may have lost that gain over here, but I'm really safe because sometimes it just goes down to the next signal may have given me only a 4% gain instead of 7% gain that I would have missed.
Okay.
And that's where the product is fun for people who want to use the advanced and they just, want to do a step further into the prediction-based alert. It's always an alert based on the prediction that we published.
Cool. So basically, we kind of answered all the basic questions for basically for everyone. Also, if you're not experienced, whenever the signal arrives, which can be, let's say, 1 to 5 times a week, or maybe in 2 weeks. Yeah, now the question is, how reliable are the signals? What would you say?
Okay, so they're pretty reliable, right? So if I were to look at the back testing, or if you look at the chart, I don't know if you have the ability to superpose some of the chart on your podcast, but you will see dramatically when you see the green light is when we have the gain after a prediction. So our percentage on Bitcoin and crypto, and if I go directly onto the website, what we had published, just because we released a new version of the product, and we had, for example, so since February 24th, which is when we launched the product, okay? So our BTC rate of return has been 225%. Our ETH rate of return has been 138%. And we've done better since then. When you look at when the market started to change, I would have to give you the exact number. Unfortunately, I don't want to misquote some of the numbers, but they're announced in our press
Thierry,
releases.
and this is like in Ether, so 200% in Ether, not in dollars. So
no
in
gain.
Ether
The
or
actual
in
gain.
Bitcoin.
You put $1. You put $1 on February, whatever your gain or loss is on the market, you put $1, and you basically act on our prediction. You have that, you beat the market by 200 or whatever.
But if you put 1 Bitcoin, it's 200%. So you have 2
yes,
Bitcoin
correct.
something. Yeah.
Correct.
So
correct. It's on the unit. Yeah, on the
excellent.
Unit.
So your service is, if I just sum it up for very nicely for, let's say, average person, would be, you are a good friend that I can ask what to do, whether to buy or sell, but I have to pay you something for this nice advice, right? So
yes, because it costs money to run artificial intelligence services.
Excellent.
Yes.
And now we will come back to the roots. So now we will come back to your engine, how you basically gather, analyze this data, what kind of hardware or whatever tools do you need for this. And what I'm also interested in is what about in the future? How are you going to let's say improve your systems or data analytics or whatever tools you use? How are you going to grow? Because also there are some other artificial intelligence signals out there. So obviously you cannot just create one and sleep then for the next 5 years. So you should have some plan in mind for the future as well. So I don't know how much information you gather. Just briefly.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief. So just to let you know, artificial intelligence is like human intelligence, right? Its information changes, and therefore your assessment changes. So you cannot rest on artificial intelligence without constantly updating it and improving it. So that's the first thing that I really want to stress upon. And this is why it's an ongoing service. Sure, the technology, so you to ask about the technology, what do you need? Well, you need obviously the market data. That's one element. So you look at different methods for machine learning. You're looking at what we call co-integration, statistical arbitrage. We look at market regime. We look at mean reversion trading, things that technically you understand, but also things that contain patterns. And the neural network. So what happens is that you basically feed the information with your indication and other ingredients, which I cannot necessarily disclose, but there is some very powerful correlation that is done between tactical and technical data, right, and unstructured data. So the same way the human brain has multiple senses, when we use machine learning, we basically feed the different streams of data, and we look for patterns and we look for integration. And sometimes some patterns, unexpected patterns, show up. A good point in case would be Dogecoin or things of that nature, where it was on the social, not on the technical, that things happen, right? So then sometimes technical precedes social, and sometimes social precedes technical. And sometimes it's other movement, other cycles, like economic cycles, policy, politics. It varies. So yes, we look at the technical data, we understand the technical data, we look at it from a pattern detection perspective and create machine learning model. And as I mentioned earlier on, every month we update the model, because what do you need? You need data to change the paradigm or to improve incrementally the model. Somebody who created a machine learning model that was 5 years ago relevant is no longer relevant. And the reason why it's no longer relevant is because things change, patterns change. So you cannot be an AI company and basically create a model and say, it's over. I created what we call a convoluted neural network. I created a model that recognizes cats, right? With an image. Well, that's a model that you can feel pretty good. It's going to recognize cat, and that doesn't need to be reviewed. It can keep on getting improved. But a model that recognizes patterns in volatile market, that's a different story. Because the volatility itself, if it doesn't have a detectable pattern, you need to complement it with other independent variable where the correlation establishes basically a confidence around the prediction. So that's how we do it. And that's why it's an expensive business. But once you're successful at it, and once you're able to update it on an ongoing basis and add new components, it becomes better and better and better. Right? And that's the investment. That's the fun part of it. It's training. You're training a machine. And our competitors have their own paradigm for training a machine. And it's like a chef. It's like a good restaurant. You have good meals, bad meals. You have meals that the restaurant that lasts forever, restaurant that don't last forever. So the proof is in the pudding. Sorry for continuing on the metaphor. Being French, I have to use food in some areas, but the proof is in the pudding. If I have the right ingredients and it creates something that is visibly successful, that I can ingredient in order for it to regain its taste, regain its value, then that's what we do.
Cool. I have the last question, which is, so your service is about kind of suggesting what to do to investors or traders. And for now, you don't have like kind of the option that you can automate it. So you just tell what to do, and then I have to execute it myself. Or maybe in the future, there will be also the option that I say, I trust your machine learner and your puddings. And then I just say, okay, here are my funds, and let's execute the trades immediately when you publish by central US time, you publish the hint what to do. And I just say execute at that time.
I love the way you asked this question. That is very, very good. Okay, so yeah, we don't tell you what to do. We tell you what the trend is, and you decide what to do. Number one. Okay, so that's that. So we are not a trading platform. We are manufacturing an indicator through artificial intelligence, telling you this is we are saying the direction going this way or going that way, and we're giving you some tools to assist you in the process. Now, to your question around automation, there is a series of tools that can be used for automation through either you have a relationship with a trading platform and the signal that we provide could be understood, accepted by the trading platform, and they may have some bots, some automation that you configure to act right on an information. So to that end, yes, I mean, the fact that we're creating this technology is also setting a path towards improving or I would say establishing relationship, right, with technical partners and trading platforms and so on. So it is a natural evolution of where this should go. There is, if you look at simple technology like if this then that, for example, or any type of automation or bot automation where you, the user, is in control of your workflow. Should a trading platform, be available on that, and should we make our API available to you as a user, and we connect the two together, you're the one to decide if this, then that, and that can be an automation in your investment, right? So that's a utilitarian approach to automation, but there is also strategic alliances approach to this, and they're revealing themselves. People are approaching us, we're approaching people. We are keeping a close eye on this, and it would be unwise not to realize that the scenario you outline is a desirable scenario for a lot of people.
Yeah. Cool. Thierry, is there anything else you would like to mention? Because I think that we covered almost everything what I wanted to know. I think it's very clear what you do and for who and so on.
Well, all I can say, first of all, I can extend my thanks to you for giving us the opportunity to have a conversation on iBlock TV. That's awesome. Thank you. The only thing I would say to user, if they go on CryptoHawk.ai, that there is the ability to try the system. So there's a 7-day period trial, which gives you also the ability to see how the system performs. You can review the cards, you can review the history, and you can start to basically experience it. And after the 7-day trial, it goes on into a subscription-based model. So I would just encourage people to give it a try and see how the system is performed and benefit from the new alerts that most likely, usually 2 of them show up during the trial period, and people dig in and try to understand them, and if they're happy with it, then they stay on, and it's all good because we are not only improving the AI all the time, we're learning from our users, but we are also going to introduce new signals, different types of signals in the near future as well.
Cool. Excellent. So people can find you on CryptoHawk.io.
No,
AI
for artificial intelligence. Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. Cool. Thanks, Thierry. Thanks a lot for the discussion. It was really a pleasure. And hopefully we see each other in one of the conferences when the world reopens up.
I hope so. I just found out I can travel to Canada now.
Yeah, don't tell me.
One place.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Thierry.
Okay, thank you so much. You take care of yourself. Thanks for the time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.